In a development that has stirred diplomatic and legal tensions between Zambia and South Africa, the controversy surrounding the burial of former Zambian President Edgar Lungu has taken a dramatic turn. The South African judiciary recently ruled that President Hakainde Hichilema cannot be barred from attending Lungu's funeral, despite objections from the late president's family. The ruling has ignited a broader debate about sovereignty, familial rights, and the politicization of death, raising questions about whether Pretoria will assert its authority and tell Hichilema to refrain from interfering in matters that many South Africans now consider domestic. The dispute began when Lungu's family expressed their wish to bury him in South Africa, citing personal and medical reasons tied to his final days in Pretoria. However, the Zambian government, led by President Hichilema, insisted that Lungu's remains be repatriated to Zambia for a state funeral, arguing that his legacy belongs to the nation. This position, while seemingly patriotic, has been criticized by legal experts and civil society groups, who argue that the government's stance infringes on the rights of the deceased's family and violates South African jurisdiction. The Pretoria High Court's decision to allow Hichilema's attendance at the funeral was seen as a compromise, but it did not resolve the underlying tension over who has the final say in burial arrangements. At the heart of the controversy lies a symbolic struggle over memory, legacy, and control. Lungu, who served as Zambia's president from 2015 to 2021, remains a polarizing figure. His supporters view him as a stabilizing force during turbulent times, while critics accuse him of authoritarian tendencies and economic mismanagement. Hichilema's insistence on a state funeral in Zambia is interpreted by some as an attempt to reframe Lungu's legacy within a national narrative that serves the current administration's political interests. By asserting control over the burial, Hichilema positions himself not only as the steward of Zambia's future, but also as the editor of its past. This maneuver has not gone unnoticed in South Africa, where legal scholars and political commentators have questioned the legitimacy of Zambia's demands. The notion that a foreign head of state can dictate burial arrangements on South African soil challenges the country's legal autonomy and raises concerns about precedent. If Pretoria acquiesces to Lusaka's pressure, it may open the door to future diplomatic entanglements where foreign governments seek to override domestic legal processes. The phrase, "hands off our corpses," now circulating in editorial circles, encapsulates this resistance, a call for South Africa to defend its sovereignty even in matters as intimate as death. The situation also exposes the fragility of regional diplomacy in southern Africa. While the Southern African Development Community, or SADC, has long promoted cooperation and mutual respect among member states, this incident reveals the limits of that solidarity. The burial dispute has become a litmus test for how far one nation can go in asserting influence over another's internal affairs. It also highlights the need for clearer protocols regarding the treatment of foreign dignitaries who die abroad, especially when their families and governments hold conflicting views. From a Zambian perspective, the issue is deeply emotional and politically charged. Lungu's death marks the end of an era, and how he is remembered will shape the country's political discourse for years to come. Hichilema's administration, which came to power promising transparency and reform, must now navigate the delicate terrain of honoring a predecessor while maintaining its own ideological stance. The decision to push for a state funeral in Zambia may be rooted in genuine respect, but it also risks alienating those who see it as a power play. The optics of transporting a body across borders against the family's wishes could backfire, casting the government as insensitive and overreaching. Moreover, the legal implications of the case are profound. South African law prioritizes the wishes of the deceased's next of kin, and any attempt to override those wishes must meet a high threshold of justification. The court's ruling in favor of allowing Hichilema to attend the funeral was careful not to endorse Zambia's broader claims, signaling that while diplomatic courtesy is extended, legal sovereignty remains intact. This distinction is crucial, as it preserves South Africa's authority while acknowledging the regional importance of the event. The media's role in shaping public perception of the dispute cannot be overstated. Headlines like, "Will Pretoria tell Hichilema, hands off our corpses?" are not merely provocative, they reflect a growing unease with the politicization of death and the erosion of personal agency. In an age where statecraft often intersects with spectacle, funerals of public figures become stages for ideological performance. The question is whether such performances honor the deceased or exploit their memory for political gain. As the funeral approaches, all eyes will be on Pretoria. Will the South African government assert its jurisdiction and uphold the family's wishes, or will it yield to diplomatic pressure from Lusaka? The answer will have implications beyond this singular event, shaping the contours of regional diplomacy and setting a precedent for how African states navigate the intersection of law, legacy, and leadership. For Zambia, the moment is a test of its commitment to democratic principles and respect for individual rights. For South Africa, it is a reaffirmation of its legal integrity and national dignity. In the end, the burial of Edgar Lungu is more than a logistical matter. It is a symbolic battleground where history, politics, and identity converge. Whether Pretoria tells Hichilema to step back or finds a middle ground, the outcome will resonate across the continent, reminding us that even in death, the struggle for narrative control endures. The phrase, "hands off our corpses," may sound harsh, but it reflects a deeper truth, that sovereignty, like mourning, is not to be negotiated lightly.